What's up, everybody? You may have heard of the Age of War Chapter 3 launching to all platforms for Conan Exiles earlier this month. And with that came quite a few bugs, some things that I feel like should not have been introduced to the game, but they were. And I've got to give Funcom a little bit of credit here for actually coming straight out and saying, hey, we're not going to fix these issues until mid-January. While I don't necessarily agree with the timeline, at least they were forthcoming with that information so that we're not sitting on our hands waiting for an update. With that said, there are some things going on in the game that are harming the way that you play it. So the first thing that is going on is there is no way to get the new Camel Mount that was introduced for the Age of War Chapter 3. The issue here is that when you put the camel calf in these stables, it actually won't go in there. So the only way to actually get the Camel Mount is for you to have admin privileges or to use a mod. There is a mod that has fixed this issue, and I will link these mods in the description of this video. Unfortunately, you guys on console won't be able to access these mods, so you have to hurry up and wait in order to get these things fixed mid-January. Now, the mod that I'm talking about that fixes camels also fixes the enormous amount of damage that demolishers are doing to your base. And the name of that mod is Age of War Chapter 3 Hotfix 1. And again, that's linked in the description of this video. That fixes two key things that are messed up with this update. Now, there are still ways that you can engage in the Purge and not have to worry about the demolishers. The most important thing is really just keeping them away from any of the building pieces that they would want to destroy. As long as you can do that, you can engage in the Purge. So going up to the volcano and cheesing them there, like I showed you in a previous video, or just making sure that you're doing a low enough level Purge that you can handle what's happening. And the reason why you want to engage in the Purge is so that you can get the new barkeeper and place them at your tavern. That's another big change and big feature that came with the Age of War Chapter 3. But it's easy to say that if you're playing on PC, this mod is a must-have just to have a much more enjoyable experience with the Age of War Chapter 3. That is until we get the update in mid-January from Funcom, and then hopefully this mod won't be needed anymore. The other mod that I want to highlight is the Age of War Chapter 3 Combat Hotfix. Now, there are some interesting things going on with combat in Conan Exiles right now. There are some bugs, but there's also been some changes to the way that combat works, mainly on mouse and keyboard. So if you're using a controller on PC, or if you're on a console, you're not likely to have noticed any change to combat. However, if you are like me playing with mouse and keyboard with specific settings of having your controller movement style set to auto and the rotatable stationary camera checked on, you'll notice that the combat has changed quite a bit. Prior to this update, you were able to just look in the direction of an enemy and your character would turn and attack that direction. After the update, it's now changed to where you can't just look at the enemy, you actually have to rotate your character with W, A, S, or D in order to get yourself lined up with that enemy. Now, there's a lot of alignment issues because when you take the camera away from the direction that you're facing and you don't have that interaction anymore, the other feature that disappears is the auto-facing attack feature, which means you have to have a lot more precision with facing your character properly. And that, honestly, with the way that the turning works, it's much slower now. It's very difficult to get yourself aligned properly with the enemy NPCs. On top of that, and almost unrelated, is the change that they made to the enemy NPCs. So they almost have what's like laser focus to be able to target you. There are some bosses that have massive issues. They'll just run backwards to you and still be able to hit you while they're facing the opposite direction. but the enemy NPCs have a much easier time of tracking you and attacking you, and with that, it actually cripples some of the perks that people have relied on in the agility category, like attacking from behind. I was doing some testing in a live stream yesterday where all I was trying to do was get behind certain enemies and attack them from behind. And I literally was only able to roll to that location and then turn around before that enemy had turned around and started attacking me again. So this cripples one of the perks that you find in the agility tree. It's almost not worth having anymore. Now, unfortunately, Funcom has said that the combat changes that they made are intended to rectify a bug. They didn't get specific on what that bug was, but I really don't like these combat changes, and I'm hoping that they'll hear what I'm saying and what the community's saying about these combat changes and make the decision to revert them in the future. But even if they don't make the decision to revert them in the future, we already have the Chapter 3 combat hotfix from Xavier on the Steam store, and if it stays this way, I'm sure they can update the mod to keep the combat the way it was prior to the 3rd chapter of the Age of War. And I'll be live streaming right here on my channel over the next couple of days with these mods installed so that you guys can see them in action and we can talk about the differences to combat in those live streams. So I hope to see you there. Don't forget to whack the like button on your way out and let me know in the comment section below if you're planning on using these mods. I'd like to thank all my YouTube members for your continued support. Y'all are absolute legends. If you're not sure what I'm talking about when it comes to the changes to combat, there's a video on the screen right now you can click and learn more about it.